Hello my dear friends, you're in the Military Summary channel, and this video we're going to discuss the most important events that took place during the previous 12 hours. We have a lot of very interesting updates, so let's start. And first we're going to talk about the South Donetsk direction. We received several geolocations that confirm the line of combat contact, which is very important. For example, in the vicinity of Zolotaya Niva to the north of the village, we received the video how the Ukrainians were trying to conduct the rotation, but the Russians discovered the situation and attacked the Ukrainians, the Ukrainian vehicle with the FPV drone. So this video confirms at least that a few meters to the north from the village of Zolotaya Niva is still under complete Ukrainian control. And the same story we received from the western part of Zolotaya Niva. In this video you can see probably the attempt from the Ukrainian side to counterattack the Russian forces, but Ukrainian vehicle was damaged and destroyed. Now let's move further and let's talk about the South Donetsk direction, where the clashes are taking place for these facilities. I'll remind you that the city of Ugledar was captured by the Russians a week ago, something like this, and now the Russians are trying to take under control the facilities, the strongholds between the fields in the direction of Bogoyavlenka. And today we got another confirmation that this facility that located on the river of Shiroka still remains under complete Ukrainian control. Now let's move to the Katerinovka, Antonovka, and the Russians entered the final stage, the final preparation stage before the beginning of the full-scale offensive in the direction of these two villages. The Russians began bombing and attacking the settlement heavily with artillery and aviation bombs, and the most important, the Russians destroyed the bridge, the only bridge that that lays between the village of Yelizavetovka and Katerinovka. In this video we can see that the bridge was already damaged during the previous attacks, and now we see the final explosion that led to complete collapse and complete destructions. From now on, the Ukrainians are no longer able to use the bridge, the supply road between the village of Yelizavetovka and Katerinovka. Basically, the village of Katerinovka is now, from now on, is completely cut from the mainland, and the Russians will begin offensive during the next few hours. Maybe during the next day we're going to receive additional changes on the ground. Now let's talk about the Kurachovka and Gornyak Cauldron. We have a lot of updates. First of all, pro-Ukrainian sources confirmed Russian control over the village by the name of Avstrisky, but the pro-Ukrainian sources and neither pro-Ukrainian nor neutral confirmed control over this part of Kurachov. But I'll remind you that some pro-Russian sources colored this territory under Russian control. Now let's talk about Cauldron. Today we got lots of updates. Most likely the previous attempts to attack from the Russian side in the direction of Novoselidovka and Izmailovka were repelled by the Ukrainians, and starting of 12th of October the Russians begin more attempts to attack, and as I understand, these attempts more successful than the previous one. The Ukrainians are saying that the Russians managed to answer the village of Izmailovka from the west, and this information was posted by pro-Ukrainian sources. The Russians continue to exert intense pressure in the Izmailovka area. The Russian armed forces managed to gain foothold on the western outskirts of the village. So most likely this is the line of combat contact by the beginning of the 12th of October in the west of Izmailovka. And as for Novosinova, the sources reported that the Russians managed to answer this village as well, and the clashes are taking place on the east, Novoselidovka, on the eastern outskirts of the settlement. So this is the situation. We'll see whether any of Mapper is going to change the map. The Russians continue destroying and attacking Ukrainian vehicles along the main supply road. We got another batch of videos of how the Russian FPV drones were attacking and destroying Ukrainian vehicles that were trying to bring additional forces or to evacuate wounded. As a result of attack, another light vehicle of the armed forces of Ukraine was destroyed, and after the destruction, the second drone came here to replace the previous one. Very difficult situation for the Ukrainians. As for Selidova, during the previous 12 hours, we haven't received anything special, and now we are coming to the most important area, to the city of Pokrovsk and the city of Mirnograd. Pro-Ukrainian mappers confirmed additional Russian progress on the ground to the west of Mikhailovka. So this territory was captured by the Russians, according to pro-Ukrainian sources. We're talking about this dense network of the fortifications. But the most important updates are coming from the area of the railways. First, the pro-Russian sources confirmed additional progress on the ground, and later we got the video from the 425th Separate Storm Assault Battalion of Skala of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, and in this video we can see the attempt from the Ukrainian side to counterattack Russian positions and to regain lost territories during the previous days. So this video confirms that the positions that Russians managed to capture the positions along the railways, and are getting closer and closer to both cities, the city of Pokrovsk and the city of Mirnograd. The Ukrainians made a counterattack, but most likely that counterattack was repelled by the Russians, and the Ukrainians, when they were empty, returned back on the territory of Pokrovsk or Mirnograd. So as you can see, this is the progress of the Russians just during the previous 12 hours. And now the military experts and pro-Ukrainian and very reliable sources began talking about the city of Pokrovsk and the further and the future stages of the special military operation. The pro-Ukrainian military experts are saying that Russia will launch a strategic offensive along the entire front in the coming days. The Russians are accumulating strike groups. They will attack along the entire front from Zaporozhye to Kupiansk. They are preparing a strategic offensive. It's a matter of days. The distance from Pokrovsk to is rapidly decreasing. Russian troops took Nikolaevka and the neighboring settlements of Krutoy Yar and Krasny Yar, Deep State wrote at night. So if we calculate the distance between edge Russian positions, we can see that, for example, from this area to the hospital, the distance is around 101 kilometer and 200 meters. So it's already a short rifle distance fire. And if we calculate the distance between the same area and the first buildings on the territory of Pokrovsk, in this case, the distance is around 5.2 kilometers, which is obviously a very short distance. Furthermore, the military experts are saying that most likely after the fall of Pokrovsk, as you can see currently, nobody has any doubts that Pokrovsk will fall. The Russians are not going to continue moving in the northern direction with the purpose to take under control the cities Konstantinovka, Slaviansk and Kramatorsk. This is not the things that we should expect in the 2025. According to pro-Ukrainian sources and Western military experts, the Russians will try and will move further in the western directions towards the Dnipro region with the purpose to attack the Dnipro River itself, the settlements along Dnipro River, because the Russians, as you can see, will face no resistance in this area because it's a real operational space. There are no defense belt and no strategic defense, nothing here. The Russians will move and nobody will be able to stop them. And if the Russians attack in the northern direction, then they will face dense and complex network of the fortifications. Now let's move further. We have some changes on the ground in the Konstantinovka direction. According to information we have, according to pro-Ukrainian mappers Deep State, the Russians improved their positions a little bit in the vicinity of Novoalexandrovka. As for New York, we have additional progress on the ground in this complex network of the fortifications. The Russians captured another stronghold. So we see that the Russians slowly but step by step are moving in the western direction. As for the city of Toretsk and as for the Sivers direction, we haven't received anything special. Now let's talk about the northern Kupiansk area. We got very important updates. The sources reported that the Russian armed forces have advanced in the area of the settlement of Kolesnikovka, having consolidated their positions in 30 buildings and are fighting for control over the railway. They have also taken control of 10 buildings on the northwest outskirts of the settlement of Kruglakovka. So summarizing everything, the Russians during the previous few days managed to enter the village of Kruglakovka and to take 10 buildings under control. And as for Kolesnikovka, the Russians took under control 30 buildings. So summarizing everything, most likely this territory is already under complete Russian control or in the gray zone or about to be captured by the Russians during the next 24-48 hours. After the Russians complete the battle for this territory, the entire Kupiansk direction would be split in two completely, and then the Russians will start handling with every single direction separately. Now let's talk about the Kursk Russian counteroffensive, the second stage. During the previous night, the Russians managed to improve their positions. The sources are saying mainly neutral mappers like Syriac reported about additional progress on the ground. And let's compare the map between the 11th of October and the 12th of October. So this is the situation on the ground on the 11th of October, by the end of the 11th of October, and this is the situation on the ground by the beginning of the 12th of October. The Russians during the previous 24 hours managed to improve their positions and to take under control the village of Nizhny Klin, and the Russians currently control around 50% of the village by the name of Novoivanovka. So these are the changes on the ground. The source reported about the significant number of prisoners of war from the Ukrainian side, and that the Russians still try to attack and destroy two cauldrons that they managed to create escalate as a result of Russian attacks. I'll remind you that there is a cauldron where we can find up to 1 battalion of the armed forces of Ukraine on the territory of the village by the name of Olgovka and the forest that located to the south, and we have another cauldron between the villages, between the southeastern part of the village by the name of Lyubimovka and Tolstoluk. The Ukrainians in both villages have no chances for evacuation. The Ukrainians during the previous night made a lot of attempts to unblock the encircled forces, but the Ukrainians suffered significant losses and were forced to fall back. The Russians are about to finish the battle for the Glushkova area. We have changes on the ground. This is also the progress of the armed force of Russian Federation for the previous night. The Ukrainians lost almost everything in this region, and now the Ukrainians have just positions along the railways and in a small village by the name of Novoput. Most likely the Russians will defeat the Ukrainians completely, and the Ukrainians will be forced to fall back. The situation for the Ukrainians is critical, and the sources are saying that in the very near future the United States of America is close to transferring new missiles to Ukraine that are capable of reaching 50 regions of Russia. US officials said that delivery could change the strategic course of the conflict. In the old version of this missile, the flight range is 370 kilometers, and the modification is already 926 kilometers, which is obviously something thing that will not suit the Russians' requirements and so on. But on the other hand, the other politicals of the United States of America reported that everybody in the world is tired of this. I have no desire to continue funding Ukraine. That was stated by the Speaker of the US House of Representatives. I have no desire to continue funding Ukraine, and I hope that it will not be necessary. If President Trump wins, I believe that he will actually be able to end this conflict. I really do. So this is the situation, and that's it for the short video. Military Summary channel reminds we condemn any violence in the world. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to my channel, put your likes to my Patreon, and have a good day. Bye bye.